You are here with By the Cover. Today I'm going to be reviewing Swashbucklers by Dan Hanks. This book was 310 pages and took me 4 days to read. I would rate this a 6.6 out of 10. This review may contain spoilers, so if you do not want to hear those, click off now. The synopsis: a single dad must save his town from a supernatural pirate threat while juggling parental duties, aided by a talking fox and weaponized video game consoles. As far as my likes with the book, it had a very good prologue, which drew you into the story. It had great comedy throughout the book, and I thought for the most part it had really good characters. I really enjoyed Cisco, Doc, Jake, and Nancy's characters. I love the overall theme of kind of finding your childhood again throughout the book and remembering things that you haven't in years. I also liked the 80s nostalgia, and it was a fun trip to go on. And I thought earlier in the book, the first few encounters were very inventive and exciting. As far as my dislikes with the book, several characters didn't have much development and didn't do much for me, which would be Michelle, Dorothy, and Amelia. For being a book about reclaiming childhood, the parents' kids were in the story very, very little. I think this was a very big missed opportunity, and it kind of dropped the ball. I would have liked to have seen the kids join in and fight with their parents. It would have been a great way for them to bond with their children, instead of just shoving them to the side the entire time. The book started lulling fairly early, around the point where they are seeking Tabitha's return. I also didn't feel like the antagonist was all that great. No one that's a major player in this book faces any real consequences, and without a real big challenge for the characters to go up against, and without real sacrifice, there just really isn't that big of an impact. So I thought the antagonist was rather lackluster. Another thing I didn't like is throughout the book, the characters go through events as children and then as adults, so it's kind of got that it setup. Instead of doing like flashbacks and showing us what they went through as kids, the author decides to tell you what happened instead. And you don't get that many answers, and so the past is kind of hazy, and there's a reason for that, which I'll get to in a minute. But the last thing I didn't like was the ending. I found it kind of lackluster. The reason for this is supposed to be the first book in a series, and the next book in the series is going to go back to when they were kids, and I guess tell that story. But I really question why we just told the adult version of the story and then we go back to the children's version of the story, rather than just starting where it began and telling the story linearly. Overall, this was a fun book, but it wasn't without its flaws. If Dan Hanks comes out with a sequel in the future, I will probably read it.